Are you ready to unlock the biggest edges you've ever had with the power of predictive models? Check out this video and learn how A-Train Station is giving you power that no one else does. Welcome to The Advantage. I'm A-Train Bets, and I use my brain to make bets. Now, in this video, we're going to talk a little bit more about predictive models and how they're so powerful in A-Train Station. But the biggest thing is that I want to show you how every single member at A-Train Station has the ability to take any model they have, any model you've built, and bring it alongside the odds we have in A-Train Station. And this is so powerful because you could come up with these models on your own. You could be doing data science stuff. You could be doing regression analysis. You could be getting projections from someone else. You could be looking at whatever you want in terms of figuring out what kinds of plays that you might want to make. And by plugging it into A-Train Station, you can find where the market's giving you opportunities to make great bets. And that's the key. It's like right now we have the model marketplace at A-Train Station, something no one else out there is doing. And so we have all these different models in the model marketplace, but these are created by other people and they're shared from other members of the station. So very powerful, and the edges are tremendous, but they were developed by somebody else. At A-Train Station, you can develop your own model and upload it for only your use and have edges literally no one else has and see plays no one else has. It blows my mind that today most software says, hey, look at our odds screen. You can come up with your model and see what plays you like, and then you could find the best price. Well, that's dumb. Yeah, you need to find the best price, but you shouldn't have to hunt and peck like it's the late 90s. We have technology now. That stuff can match up. And so that's what we give you at A-Train Station that nobody else does, is the ability to just upload those files of projections and predictions that you have so that you can see where the market is and see how your lines compare to that and where the opportunities would be. And so instead of hunting and pegging to see if there's any opportunity at all, A-Train Station just lets you do it. So we're going to look at this today, and I want to give, this is, partially to introduce some new people to the kinds of power that you have at A-Train Station that you don't have anywhere else, but it's also mostly for the people who have been asking for this, who really want to be able to upload their own lines, because we recently enabled player props, which is something that a lot of people love to model, right? You might just have one interest. You might just want to do, like we have an NBA player prop model that has just 3-pointers. Right? You might like something like that, home runs for baseball. You might like passing yards for football. Whatever it is, you could go really deep in this one specific area and then surface all the plays. And we'll show you how to do that. So let's get started. So we're going to go into A-Train Station. And here we're going to have, this is the normal landing page where you're going to do all the top-down searches. And we make it really easy with the one-click searches that you can do. But when you start to do predictive models, you end up with levels of edge you just don't get in top-down betting. So this is a good place to start, build some skills, make some money, but you're going to find yourself likely at a point where you want more. And that's where these models come in. And so you can always go to the models marketplace, find the plays, find the models that you want to buy. Certainly it's great to have that availability, but this video in particular isn't about these models that people like me made. This is about what do you do when you have your own predictions that you want to upload into the station. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to use my NHL model output because I didn't create a whole new output just for this, but we'll use that and we'll do it just like any member has. Like I'm in a non-admin account. This is exactly what you would see. And we're going to do this and give you an opportunity to do it as well. So if we go to the model uploads page, there's a lot of information here and it can be a little overwhelming. And I'll be honest, right? Uploading a model, it requires a little bit of configuration. It requires a little bit of thought and working with files or Excel and output or whatever. And we'll show you a few different options to go about doing that. Okay. So the first thing is when you go to this model upload page, it gives you some basic details on what the requirements are. But I would, instead of going through this and trying to understand from here, go to the model upload template. Now this file is a Google spreadsheet that is available to anybody. Okay, this is available to anybody and you can use this and understand the information that you need to have. And we're going to continue to update this and make it better and easier to work with. But for now, this is what it is. So these are the detailed explanations of what each of the values are that you need to include in the file if you are doing a model upload. Let's go through it, right? So the league is the short code of the league, and we have these pieces of information elsewhere, right? So we have the league, we have the code, we have the name. So this is like English Premier League. And so you can get that information on these other tabs. But let's go back here for a second. So let me make that a little bit easier to see. Okay. The league, that's just the league. And you're going to include it on every record, right? The date, what date is the event, right? Home and away, the short codes, which I just peeked at, right? These are the teams. So you're going to say what teams they are, and you need that for every line. Doubleheader, this is pretty much only applicable to baseball. If you're going to use it, typically you won't need to. And even last year, I didn't even model second games of doubleheaders because it was a little wonky with some of the schedule information stuff. On the section value, this is where, and it's really section, market, selector, points. A lot of these are described here, but don't get your head around it this way. First, just look at what the available market is, right? So we can see Major League Baseball. What do we have for Major League Baseball? Or what do we have for NBA? Let's look at this for an example, right? NBA, typically got a head-to-head section. This is where you're going to have your money lines. So it's coded as HTH, money line. And it'll tell you exactly what the valid values are for this. So home and away, you literally put H2H Q1 in this if you want the first quarter head-to-head. Right. And so it tries to give it a description here, and it's usually not too complicated. And the good part, too, is that as you start to work through this, go on our Discord and ask questions because we will help you do this. I want to make sure everybody who wants to have a model in the station can do this. All right. And this is where you start to understand, OK, these are the things that I'm going to need to include in my file. But like you start with one. You say, which one am I interested in doing? And then you say, OK, well, here's how that format needs to go. Right. So league, section, market, side fed. And so that is a great place to first understand. And the point, sometimes it's included or not. That's going to be something like a total or a spread value. Okay. And then the win percent. And the win percent is literally the thing that you are going to do. Like everything else is just about helping you connect into the station, right? The win percent is yours. That is where using either American odds or a decimal representation of the percentage. So that's like this 0.37 would mean 37%. And that's how I report mine, right? So when I do the hockey model or the baseball model, I'm always using that decimal, and I'm taking it to like 15 decimal places because I've got issues. But that's where you're going to figure out what you think that win percentage is for anything, right? You could do rushing yards for a running back in the NFL. And you can say, okay, I think that he has a 25% chance of going over 50 rushing yards today. You can put that in. Right. You can know as long as you know that player's ID, which when you're doing player props, you need an ID, and it'll say that for the selector. Right. And it'll show you what those are. And so that's where we have to map into a specific player. That's how you do it. And then you can add in those other values. So you would have the point would be, if you think it's, 50 yards? 50 yards would be the point. 50 would be the point. Side would be over, would be 25.25. The under, if you wanted to list that, would be 0.75. So you'd have under 0.75, and then you would have the win. So it would be under for the side and win percent, or the decimal for that. And so that's basically what you're looking to do in these files. Now you might say, well, Train, what are you talking about, man? I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even understand what you mean by files and uploads and whatever. I just wanted to introduce this to you because then you would understand what it is that's actually in these files. So I'm going to show you, this is a file that I have. So this is what you would call a comma delimited file or a CSV file. Now this is fine. This is, if you're comfortable with text files, if you're a programmer, you're going to be comfortable with this, right? And you can see what we were just talking about, right? Team, home team, away team, the doubleheader flag that we don't care about. Section is game prop. The market in this case is both teams to score BTTS. There is no selector or point. The side is no. So both teams to score no is 0.02, right? So that in the model estimate for this Toronto game is what I'm uploading, right? So it's a little bit more actionable right now. You see, like, this isn't super complicated. There's just a little bit to it. And so once you break it down into these individual things, you start to see what's going on. Now, I am doing something more complicated than almost anybody because of the amount of markets that I have. This is one game for the day that we're recording this. And I have in this one game 781 rows in the file. 780 of them are predictions of some sort, right? We don't have that many markets for this game, But I've calculated so many different things that I put it all into this file. And when I upload it, it's going to process it. Okay, so that's where I've programmatically generated all this. But what I did when I first started creating my model, I started with just the head-to-head, and then added totals, and then added spreads, then added team totals, then added props eventually. And so that's where you start with something and build upon it. So yes, this is a comma delimited. This is easy. It's a flat file, what we would call a flat file in programmatic terms. But you can take this file, and I literally just took this file and opened it in Excel and then saved it as an Excel file. So you could have it like this. All right. So maybe you like to work in Excel, and you could actually have a template that you build in Excel that you could just edit these things on a daily basis and then copy and paste it. And we'll show you how to do that. So in this case, when we go here and you look at this file in Google Docs, you can always make a copy of this and start using it yourself. And so if you have Excel, you could do that, or you can use Google Sheets, and you can see the markets. So this continues to get updated with the linked file that we have. You got the team codes. This will tell you an important piece here. And then the example, this is actually something that gives you some ideas of how you would populate this. And again, if it's just not required, you just leave it empty. You don't have to put anything there. And so we've got, 0.63. We're using some American odds, so it's just 120 if it's positive, minus 125 if it's a negative. So this should be something that you can work with. And again, if this gets confusing, it's a little overwhelming, but you have like some predictions, just go on our Discord. Just ask us. Go to the Q&A section and start, asking us how to form this or where your file might not be right. So one of the things too is that in this file, and if you copy this file, you'll be able to edit this. You can just edit it here. You can just start to build it in. Say, okay, I'm going to build in some NHL and go through all of that, right? So I'm not going to edit the main one, but this is just where you start to actually have your lines and you can bring it in. Now you can use files or you can just copy and paste in. So we're going to do that, right? So here's the page, right? The weightings custom page that we have for our model upload. And you'll see there's two sides to this. You can do one or the other. I could select the file. So I've got my video sample CSV, that flat file that we were just talking about, this one. I can take that, select it here, right? I just selected it in my folder. This is actually where I output my NHL model every day. But we're just uploading this one again. It's just for us. This is just for the one user. This is my demo account. And we're just going to upload this. So I'm going to upload it here. And you see 780 out of 780 rows processed successfully. So the key to this too is once you've done this, and this is the way you can do it with a file upload, right? Or if we went in here, this is what I think is really cool, is that I can just take this spreadsheet, right? And let's just upload this first 26 values, right? Plus the header line. So I'm just going to do a copy. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just paste it just as is into this line data. Right? Save line data. Look at that. 26 out of 26 processed successfully. That's all you have to do. Just copy it in. So as long as you've put it in the right format, you can just copy it in from Excel or from Google Sheets. And in this case, it's tab delimited. And you say, okay, well, that's fine. Or you can even do this. You could take this. I just do a Control A. I don't have to deal with files. Right? I can come back here, load this. I don't know if this might be too big for that particular screen, but it might be fine. Yeah, it's fine. So that is how many options you have. So I know it's a little bit overwhelming, but this is something too that we know not everybody's going to use, but this is literally how I upload my model every day. I just go and I select the file and it processes. But if you're not programmatically creating that file, you want to do it more manually, you can. Or if you want to source it from somewhere else and upload that, you can. And that's the power of this, because now let's look at what we see. Right? So I'm going to go to my search. We're going to go to advanced search. Okay. Oh, you know what? We got to do one more thing. I forgot about this. So what we've got to do is go to weightings, right? What we need is a custom weighting. So this is for my model upload, right? So we're creating a new weighting. And the only thing you need to do in that weighting is say, my model upload, I'm going to treat it as a 1. So what we do in A-Train Station is that you can create your own weightings of any sharp books and blends of things. You can weight stats. You can do all this stuff. All we want to do is 1 for model upload, because all it is that file that we just uploaded for ourselves. So we're going to hit save there. So now we have model upload, call it custom, and we're going to go back to that advanced search. So I go to advanced search, and now let's pull off everything. We're just going to remove as much as we can here just so that we're not having anything in here, because I want, and I'm going to go minus 100 here. We're going to zero that out. We don't care about hold. Like, we're just making this a wide open search, and we'll leave the books that we have. I don't even know what my books are, but we're going to select our custom that we just created. And you can see this Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs. We have a bunch of lines. Now, we're not too worried about how good these lines are or not right now. We're just trying to cover the mechanics of it. But you can see in this demo account, it's giving us a bunch of recommendations now because of that model upload that I just had. You see, it's a ton of plays. It's a ton of plays. And granted, what I'm doing, I've been building over months. It's pretty sophisticated, but you see all the different plays and how the market relates. And that's the beauty of these predictive models, is that the predictive models kind of give you a sense of where the market may be over or under pricing something compared to the fundamental analysis that I've done in my model. Now, you might create a model that's all based on market information. You could do that. Any kind of predictive model, any kind of assessment that resolves to a win percentage estimate of something could be included in this. You just got to map it, right? So that's what you end up doing. And we come in here. So I'm going to pick one that looks reasonable. So let's look at this over 5.5. Looks pretty reasonable, right? This is a play. We have it at a few different places. The model is saying, plus or minus, 205, 206, 33% chance on one side is what you need to win. So this is, you've got 33% to win on this. Everything's negative over here. You've got 67% chance here on the over, which makes some sense because that's a pretty low over. And we're going to pay a little bit here, but we think the model says, hey, there's a better chance of this than what the market is currently saying. And so now, based only on that model, you can see kind of where the market is, but I am looking just on the comparison between my model and all of this data that we have. You know how long that takes if you were trying to do this with an odds screen? You have to go and find the thing, manually navigate to it or whatever. And we just looked at a search and said, hey, this is a pretty good play. You might want to look at this. Right? That's why we have this two-step process at A-Train Station. You find interesting plays and then you evaluate them with the bet detail screen. And so this is super powerful because you'll see your model wherever it is in relation to the market, and you say, hey, immediately now I have a perspective on side. It's not just about price. You get the best price by looking at these and saying, well, I'm gonna go play this at Caesars, who oddly enough is having the best price right now on this side. So if I'm interested in this, I like the over 5.5. This is a play I'm probably gonna make because at minus 150 is nowhere near my minus 206, right? For my minus 206 to be profitable, right, it needs to win, well, 60% of the time if I'm playing at Caesars. And I think it's going to win 67% of the time based on the model. This is why the predictive models give you so much power, is that I can do this with one book. I have a model and I have a place I can play. And so now, when the markets drop and it's early and they've just landed, I now have a perspective that I could play into these things without any other reference point. It's one of the biggest challenges with top-down betting, is that you have to see enough in the market to be able to assume what's right and what's wrong and whose price is better or whatever. And like, some books are right and some books are wrong on any given play. You don't know necessarily. You know which books tend to be right more often, tend to be a little further off. But in this case, we can probably play at any of the markets with some expectation of profit on the over 5.5, but Caesars is the best because they're at minus 150. So this is the kind of thing that now with the A-Train Station, you don't need anything else in terms of models or what have you. And I mean, this is something too, that, when I look at how these models come in and what you can do when you bring in this information into whatever you've done. And again, I'm not here to tell you how to build the model. I'm telling you how to connect your model, right? How you want to build your model, that's your art. That's your resourcefulness. And that's why A-Train Station gives you edge that can last, because we want you to be doing something unique. That's where advantage gambling comes from. But every other software out there just wants you to do exactly the same thing as everybody else because it's simple and because people would rather check out. A-Train Station's not for the people who want to check out. A-Train Station is for the people who want the edge at all costs. That's what we do here. And this tool, being able to upload these models, gives you an edge and an advantage and the speed. You can't do this with an odds screen. The only way you can do this is by bringing it into A-Train Station. No one else has even attempted this. So that's what you want to do, right? And this is where I'll get on you thought I was on my soapbox already. No. I'm on it. I'm coming out. This is what touting should be. Touts shouldn't be giving picks. Touts should be giving you a perspective that evolves when the market prices change. That perspective changes in kind. And you can see relatively how much edge is in any given situation. You don't just get a pick. What is a pick? Right? Touts, if they were any good, which clearly most are not, but if touts were any good, they would be providing you access to a model and giving you the opportunity to develop a strategy of betting around that, given the books, the outs that you have, the time of day that you can bet, the things you're interested in, how you can overlay additional pieces of information to enhance that edge. That's what we do at A-Train Station, and that's why we are on to something special. And that's why these predictive models are the future, because now we can go into prediction markets, right? Prediction markets, this is what it's all about. You're not going to get edge when things are actually efficient or more efficient. But the fact is, like, not in a top-down setting, you can get edge if you see things that the rest of the market doesn't see. And the only way you're going to do that is by having pieces of information the entire market hasn't seen. And that's why we keep it small. That's why you can do it on your own. You can come up with your own model, not share it with another person. Now, granted, you want to monetize your model more and make it available to other A-Train Station members and get a lion's share of the revenue that we get from that. Hey, we're happy to have you build a business on top of A-Train Station and help others be more successful with their sports betting. That's what it's about. But that's really what touts should be. I'm looking for some people out there, like right now, if you're dissatisfied with, giving picks to people, why don't you step up and be real about how you share information about sports gambling and about how your models give people recommendations. You do that. Some of the things like what we're doing with my NHL model and baseball model and the English Premier League model and the NFL model, like these things are really powerful and our members are seeing it, right? So why not build something that's powerful and then start to monetize it further by sharing it with others, and everybody succeeds. So this is a stepping stone to that. Now that you can understand how we go about uploading these lines and uploading these models and how you can kind of manage that and which choices you have about how you do it, we try to make it easy. Most people build this stuff in spreadsheets, at least to start with, and then can build more and more sophistication. But again, between the tools that we've given you with the model upload with A-Train Station, it gives you good error information. Like, I actually want to show you this. Let's do something fun. All right, let's take some of this. We're just going to copy this in. Hold on. Let's bring this up. So I'm going to go back to my flat file here, right? Let's break some stuff before we leave. I'm going to just copy it into this, right? And I'm going to put in, instead of TBL, I'm going to mishit a key and we're going to call it table, right? Let's see what happens if I upload table. So 25 out of 26 rows processed successfully. Number of rows with unknown teams 1, could not find team table. Well, there you go. So it saw that I had made an issue, made an error, and it told me about it, right? And that's the kind of thing that we do in this. And a lot of times, like right now, we don't have events until we start to get lines for those events. We're going to change that. We're going to start to create events long before lines are available. We're not there yet. So you may see, like when I create lines for my NHL model, I actually create lines several days in advance, even though I know none of those lines are available. I want to make sure that anything that is available gets caught by the station. And so when I upload my full file, I'll show you. When I upload my full file, I get a ton of errors about events every time because those events don't yet exist in the station because they're for markets that don't have any lines in them. So you see, I'm uploading, 50,000 records. It's ridiculous. But I'm uploading all these records, and you can see, let me turn off my face for a second, 17,000 out of 52,000 rows processed successfully. All of the errors were tied to these events that didn't exist yet. And that's because there's no lines available for 3 days from now from when we're recording. So that's the kind of thing where we're getting some lines for subsequent days, but a lot of the time we don't get those events yet. So just keep that in mind. We try to give some feedback here. And this is a great thing. Like if you're struggling in uploading your own model, and honestly, start by just coming up with a little file. Start over here with the, lines in a Google Sheet. Just make a copy of this. You can create your own. It doesn't matter. But, copy this into another sheet and you can start playing with it. Just make up numbers, right? Learn how it connects in and then make those numbers better. That's how I started with my model. Make it work end to end and then make it better, right? That's one thing too. Like I've said this in data for years. Start with the dirt path. Figure out how to get from where you are to where you want to be once. Get there once. And then get there again. And then take that dirt path that starts to form over learning the best path between those two places and start to pave it. And then turn it into that 8-lane expressway, right? Don't try to build an 8-lane expressway from where you are to where you're going. First, get there once, right? Get there with just money lines and then do it again and add in spreads, add in totals, whatever, and then add in player props. That's the best way to do it. But if you're just like, hey, I'm going to just do player props and there's one thing that I love to bet. I love to bet goal scorers. Fine. Start with one goal scorer. Pick your favorite player and start with those estimates. Upload that. Could be 1 line, could be 5 lines, whatever it is, and then go from there. That's the way you can start to do this, and all of a sudden you start to really own your sports betting in a way you've never done before. Like it's one thing to do top-down betting, but even that, you're just trying to interpret prices. Here, you're starting to bring in knowledge from every direction, from every perspective. And when you start to do that, you start to own your game so much more. And this hobby of being a sports bettor, you want to be a pro sports bettor, start by being a great casual sports bettor. Start by being a smart part-time bettor, weekend bettor, evening bettor, and get better at that. And maybe you become a professional someday. Maybe you're not cut out for being a professional. I'm not. I never want to drive all my income from being a professional gambler. Drive me crazy, right? But I love the game of it. And if you love the game of it, this is something that you can do. So this is one avenue that can lead to enormous edges. And if you don't want to build the model, that's fine. Just use one of the ones that we have in the model marketplace. Support others doing it, and let's grow into something special. So I think I've belabored the point at this point. Editing's going to be fun. But with that, thank you for joining me on this. Hopefully you learned something and you see what we're doing at A-Train Station is truly special and nobody else has anything close. So with that, for now, this train's leaving the station. Until next time, keep learning and get your edge with A-Train Station. We'll see you on the next one.